Hey, can you
Yeah,
hear me?
yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely. Hi, welcome.
Hi, 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 hi.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Okay, so before we jump straight into the interview, I wanted to ask you, what are your pronouns and give us a short little introduction about yourself.
Okay, so my name is Najee. My pronouns are they and them, and I am a New York City-based performer, drag artist, musical theater performer. I flip pizza signs if you want me to. I'll do a little bit of everything. I'm also a teacher. I teach acting, singing, and dance as well to
Aw,
children. But yeah, that's me. That's me.
awesome. Okay, so let's jump right into it. So, like you mentioned, you are a all-around performer, I guess you can say, and you've done a lot. And to do this interview right, I did my research. I did a deep dive. And you've been in many
Oh,
musicals.
okay.
So, what kind of found your love of musicals and wanting to sing in these big productions like Sister Act, The Color Purple, and stuff like that?
My mom, actually. My mom was a performer herself. She's still a singer, but she grew up in the age where people told black people that they can't perform because their hips were too wide or their butts were too big, or they didn't stand like the white performers did. So my mom was jaded and quit performing for that. And I'm a middle child and I'm stubborn. So when my mother said that she didn't want me to do it, I was like, so guess what I'm gonna do, mom? I just put myself in a shell. So I kind of it kind of happened early where my mom was like, I can't stop you from doing it as something, but I can advise you and try to protect you from this really cruel world and cruel art form, but it's still beautiful. So I guess I started when I was young out of stubbornness and out of defiance.
And I will say that, seeing what you've done when I Googled your name, I think that's probably the best decision. And the stats, the numbers don't lie, and the productions don't lie. So my next question is: so you've been in a couple of things. You've been well, not a couple, but you've been in the very well-known plays. You've been in Sister Act. You've been in
Mhm.
The Color Purple, and you've recently been in the Carole King production at the White Plains Performing Arts Center. So, what has your experience been like playing in all these different musicals and playing in all these different roles and the characters that you get to play and being able to like act in different types of music genres and stuff like that.
It's been fun, challenging but fun. It's like I always tell people, it's always like the 90% is the brain space is empty right now. But it's all about work ethic. My mom always says your integrity will keep you in the spaces that you've been brought into. So I just find that being a kind person helps you to learn better and it helps you to get into spaces that you didn't expect to be in. Um, all the music, Sister Act was hard, Color Purple was hard, Carole King was hard. I mean, I was a drifter in the Carole King musical, which doesn't have a lot of stage time, but we called it the 12 minutes a slave because we were on stage 12 minutes nonstop, basically, with quick changes.
Mhm.
Sister Act, I had to be a altar boy and had it was a lot of dancing, and the Color Purple was just an important work for African American theater in general because it's telling the story about pain and triumph. So it was very much gratifying to play all these different parts because number one, someone trusted me enough to know that my voice would work for those specific things, and there's such different genres of music. But also, it was great to work with different casts and realize that you're in that room for a reason, and
Absolutely.
we're on that playbill with these wonderful performers for a reason. Because imposter syndrome is a real big thing.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And and then just to give a little bit of context for for any of our viewers that aren't music theater backgrounds, can you explain a little bit what a drifter is?
Oh, so a drifter, it's kind of like if you think of the Temptations and like
Mhm.
different male groups that are put together to that have voices that can really blend together in different parts of harmony. Because in the voice, there's soprano, alto, tenor, bass.
Okay.
I always say like think of the voice as a house.
Hmm.
So would live in like the attic and they're kind of chilling in that fancy room with the big old window. Then you have the floors, the second and the first floor, which are the altos and tenors. They tend to change their rooms up, but they live in kind of the same core of sound.
Hmm.
And then just live in the basement because they're the ones who came from college and they're just but if you think of the house like that, you can think of where the voices are. The higher in the house, the higher the voice goes. That's why the altos and the tenors kind of um, mix rooms. And I digress. Drifters are people that are put together because their voices kind of mesh together. And they used to travel around and just do the popular music. And yeah, so I was one of those people that sang a lot of Carole King's biggest numbers that became popular.
Absolutely. So, from doing all those plays, what has kind of been your favorite production that you've been a part of, or your favorite role, or like even getting to play a character? So, what kind of has been that experience been like?
Okay. I oh man, that's a two-pronged question. So my favorite role that I've played so far is Seaweed in Hairspray. He's been my favorite. I want to play him again. And it's just because that show is all about finding love in a segregated environment, which is a beautiful thing, especially when you look at the character of Seaweed that against all odds fell in love with this white girl who is like, Seaweed, I don't see you as anything else but a person that I love to kiss. And that's the best thing. And that's how I live life. I'm like, if your face is kissable and I ask permission and you say yes,
Honestly, that's the
word,
best way to live life, not gonna lie.
consent. But then in college I played this role, and it's the first role that I figured out that I could go into an audition and kind of write my own ticket. It was a
Hmm.
show called The Frog Prince, and it was a role called Willow Nani, who was written as a doty old white woman, which I mean, I'm perfect for.
Clearly, yeah.
So I went in and I was like, you know what? It's the role that sings a really great song, and I, I was like, what is the most outlandish thing that I could do in this role? And I'm half Jamaican, so I was like,
Oh,
okay,
cool.
I'll put on a Jamaican accent, got the
Hmm.
role. Everyone was like, how'd you get it? I was like, because I didn't care. So I just did whatever I could. So it's like those roles are important too. When you just go in and your inhibitions are gone and you want something, things can change.
Absolutely. And then just to segue into my next question, so like you have the potential to be a Broadway star. I see it personally, I see the potential of a Broadway star. Could you possibly see yourself being on Broadway and then if so, winning a Tony?
Oh yeah, to both. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So the answers are see a little bit of a little bit of being a drag queen and being a musical theater performer is delusion. And this is not delusional. This is just me saying when it happens because I will be at a long running Broadway show and I will win my Tony. And I'm very excited. I've even like figured out where I'm gonna put it. It's gonna be right in the bathroom, in a case, the
Hmm.
right on the toilet. I could just stare at it and be like, yes,
I did that. Yeah.
yes,
That's
yes.
honestly, that's not even delusion. That is manifestation. That is speaking into existence. And that's on
Yeah.
period. And then now, we've seen in recent years an uprise of like non-cisgendered queer people winning and nominated for us for Tony's like Alex Newell. So kind of what have been your thoughts when seeing that like there is no longer like a typical white cisgendered person winning a Tony and they're playing and they're winning Tonys for roles that like are typically like the underdog and like stuff that isn't typically as like popular. So what are your thoughts about that?
I love that. I mean, we've always existed. It's just I think that now people who write our stories are being seen and being loved on. So now the opportunity for us to come forward and win awards for being our authentic self, like Alex Newell winning for Shucked was absolutely beautiful. I cried my eyes out because Alex has been toiling and has been working. And Jay Harrison, G, winning the Tony for Some Like It Hot. I mean, I did the Color Purple with with
Oh
with them.
wow.
So I find them to be such a hardworking person, and knowing the background stuff for them and seeing how much how I've seen them as a beautiful person, and how now the world is seeing them as being such a well-rounded performer is amazing. So I'm happy that that's happening, and more of that needs to happen. But also, I can't wait for the day that we win Tonys for not just being the quirky side character or the one that sings all the high notes, but I would love for non-binary beautiful person, which is happening in Anne Juliet, to win a Tony for being a love interest, for being an
Mm-hmm.
ingenue, a damsel. Even though we're constantly talking about, I don't need to be saved by anyone, but I would love
Yeah.
to win a Tony for being saved by somebody. Let me sit back in a tower and win a Tony for that. Like, I'll do it.
That's amazing to hear. That's honestly, it's a gift because even now, like queer artists across the world are like winning awards that typically won by cisgender people. So it's fun to see it happening, but there definitely needs to be more change and needs to be more progression into. Not I don't say like winning everything because winning everything isn't a bad thing, but
Not a bad thing.
let's win the important things. Let's win the fun things. But now this
Yeah,
kind of does segue my question. It's actually two of my questions. So you do drag.
I
So,
do.
how's your love for musical theater led into your love of drag and kind of like how did those two kind of, if they did blend together?
Yeah, good question. I was so frustrated being a singer in New York City because there's so many of us and so many really, really, really amazing singers, including myself, because my therapist says that I need to love on myself, woo woo for therapy.
Period.
But I I started doing drag in Brooklyn off of a whim. I was just like, I want to get into drag, and someone who I was friends with put me in drag and was like, you have a voice, why not use it? And I was like, well, do people really want to see live singing in drag? And they were like, yeah, do it. Why not? So I started doing live singing in drag, and the person that kind of like really like got me was, I don't know if you know the show Cabaret.
I do know the show Cabaret.
So I was singing maybe this time in Brooklyn, and Frankie Sharp, who is a great, he's a bar owner and just a DJ and a influencer all around, and a great person. He came in and he was like, "Who sang? Maybe this time." I was like, "Oh, it was me. My name is Baby Hair. So nice to meet you." And he was like, "I have 50 if you sing this for my birthday." I was like, "Oh, okay, work." I was like, "Okay, cool." Then you would think that it would be uphill from there. I actually stopped doing drag for about a year because my feelings were hurt and my pride was hurt, not because of an ego thing, but because someone that was close to me really hurt my feelings. So I just stopped. I quit. I hid. And then I came to Queens and I met Hassan, my drag mother, and she heard me sing at karaoke one night and she looked at me. She said, "Do you want to be my drag daughter?" And I just sobbing and sobbing. I was like, "Why do you want me, not me? Look at someone else." And that it's been a year, and she's been the person that's really helped me pull out things inside of myself that I didn't think that were possible. She's made me look and drag the most beautiful that I've ever looked in my life, in my opinion. Other people's opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got one, and I don't have to see all of them or listen to all of them. Um, but yeah, so that's pretty much my drag story from now. But blending musical theater into drag has been one of the most gratifying things because I can workshop things. I can put kind of not put kind of like a mask of baby hairs and say, oh, baby hairs messed up that note. Najee didn't. Najee's not even here yet.
Right, also, because I've okay, so all the viewers up there, I've been to Albatross and I've heard Baby Hair sing live. They eat, they eat down. Like, and I'm not playing. And like, I say this because I had the pleasure of interviewing your drag mother as well this week. So I say this to both of them to eat down. And if anyone's ever in New York, please go to Albatross to see them. Friday night karaoke. They are incredible drag artists, and they sing amazingly well live. And then they're also bearded drag queens, which you don't see that often.
I'm
Which leads to my
a part-time.
question,
I'm a
huh?
part-time drag queen.
Oh, my bad. Part-time bearded drag queen. But which leads to my question, kind of what inspired you to want to be a part-time bearded drag queen? Because most drag queens, the ones that you see, kind of clean shaven, very womanly, very like serving puss, and you're just
Hmm.
like, listen, I have my beard, and I don't care.
Yeah.
So like, what kind of was inspiration about like keeping that?
So that happened recently. I used to be clean shaven all the time because I also have
Mhm.
sensitive skin. For those out there, find the product that works for you because shaving every week is hell. As you can tell, I'm in my lumberjack, homeless, sexual phase right now. But what inspired me was recently, there was a pit crew segment, Drag Race Pit Crew, where two winners, Trixie Mattel and Violet Chachki, made some really interesting comments about bearded drag that we want to look about that bearded drag queen is one of the cutest boys, and that we have to sacrifice something in drag, shave your face, grow up. Um, I don't subscribe to those comments. I think that all drag, though I may not understand all drag, I think that all drag is valid. And my mother is one of the most gorgeous bearded drag queens in the US and across the world. I'm not saying this because she's behind me cursing at me. No, she's not here. But inspired me to not just because I can talk all I want. I can talk about how valid bearded drag is and how wonderful every bearded drag queen that I've met is. There's so many out there. Frida Cox. You have I can name many, but my brain is like hemorrhaging right now. But I wanted to walk the walk. I wanted to show all those queens out there that a queen that normally shaves her face and normally likes to serve puss. That's how I like to look like an auntie that will steal your boyfriend's girlfriend's and Nathan thumbs. Um,
Period.
but I wanted to show my mom that I will get up on stage and not just speak into her life and speak against the negativity, but also I'll leave my beard on. I'll learn how to do a monicum of what she does. So it was just walking the walk, and this is how I am. As much as I am a queen that some people do not know, I am a queen that a lot of people do know. And when a queen hears two big names in the drag community talk down about bearded drag, but then they come to local drag and they see queens working hard, then I think that is the most powerful and poignant thing. So that's why I decided to keep my beard on.
Absolutely, and I think that it is an amazing message because I've watched an episode as well, and I kind of wanted to just kind of gauge the consensus of what the general, not rule of thumb, but like the general opinion of it. Because I don't do drag, so I don't typically I wouldn't know, and so like typically when the commonality is like most of them are clean shaven, whatever. And there are bearded drag queens, but it's kind of like a subcategory where like they're not as many known. And
Yeah.
there hasn't even been one on RuPaul's Drag Race yet that we know
No,
of.
Drag Race, the main so RuPaul's Drag Race, I think Italia had it. I mean Keisha Carr is doing great bearded drag too. I mean, we have so many New York City girls that are we have Lacey Stoner from Queens that is doing it as well. We have Frida Blackman. Frida Blackman doesn't do but I mean she might do bearded drag. I don't know. I love Frida Blackman. But yeah, we have so many. We have Harriet Tugsman who does bearded drag. So those are just a few of them that sorry. I love it, but no. The general consensus is that I mean the that bearded drag is like you said a subsect or a niche environment, but yeah.
Okay, now just you mentioned your drag mother, Hassan.
Uh-huh.
I've had the pleasure of meeting. So kind of like, what is it like to be Hassan's drag daughter? And kind of how did you guys kind of meet? And like Hassan be like, hey, be my daughter, that type of thing. And like, what advice has Hassan given you to kind of just like push you along your drag journey?
It's been chaotic to say the least, but in good chaos. Like it is follow follow the bouncing ball. It is go with the flow. It is Hassan has taught me that what I do is more than valid. It is beautiful. Hassan has also taught me to value myself just as much as I value others because I often am a people pleaser and I try my hardest to do what I think other people are going to like. And then when I fall short, I beat myself up so much. So Hassan has taught me how to really love myself, and how if things don't go your way, it's okay. Hassan is such a beautiful person in our community. Really preaches about how to just be a productive person in your community, how to be a loving person in your community, how to be a fierce ass drag queen and drag mother. Hassan is such a fierce drag queen. She just did CUNY Pride, which was amazing. I was there for it. She was in 9-degree heat, and she's just a workhorse. She doesn't stop. So and that's what our commonality is. I mean, I constantly think I'm not doing enough. But Hassan is there to show me. She's like, sit down. You want a White Claw? Okay, great. Let's take a break. Let's talk. Let's breathe. And that's what she's taught me, how to just constantly breathe, and how the palette that you have is uh a beautiful palette. But also she's called me out for things. That's the good thing about having a mom and a friend that is honest. She calls me out on things, and not in a mean way. Because I can be a little reckless, I could be a little crazy, I could be, and it's always about protecting my brand. It's never like the last couple of people that I've worked with have always been like, don't embarrass me, don't
Yeah,
embarrass my. Where Hassan has been like, it's your brand. I'm still gonna be able to work, but if something happens and somebody sees you doing something that is not kosher or is untoward, it's your reputation on the line. My reputation is good, but I never want you to be in a bad light. So that's what made me look at Hassan a little different, because I was like, you're really worried about me.
mhm,
That's beautiful, because so many people are, I don't want my reputation to be tarnished by what you do. Where Hassan is like, your reputation can be tarnished by what you do. And I'm like, oh wow,
absolutely.
word. So yeah, that's my mama.
Awesome, love to hear it. And it's funny because I interviewed Hassan. Well, I interviewed Hassan the other day, but that's a whole story that you're hearing. My podcast started with them, but they spoke so highly of you. They spoke
Oh,
so highly of you, and
thank you.
I cannot wait to hear. It's very interesting because I'm interviewing mother and daughter, so I cannot wait to hear what I can't wait for you to hear what they say about you and for them to hear what you say about them, because it is just you can feel the love. Like as a person
Yeah,
that doesn't, I've seen you guys perform one time, and I legitimately was like, they look like they've been a drag daughter and mother for years, for literally
yeah,
years. The way that the love is there and that like the care is there, and like you could just tell that like this person really does care about their community and their family, and they want them to succeed, and they want them to be able to do things and do it to the best of their ability without hurting their child's brand or hurting their child and like being passive aggressive and being jealous even.
yeah. And that's Hassan. Hassan, there's not a jealous bone in Hassan's body. And for me, I always talk about this. I've seen Hassan cry. Hassan has seen me cry. We've 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 been in each other's lives like nonstop for like a year now. And I just shared a memory with her, and she was like, "Girl, was that a year ago? Okay, we look good." I'm like, "We still look good." I said, "I look a little haggard, but we look good." Um, but she is truly one of my. She's not just my mother. She's one of my best friends, and she is a confidant. She is a person that tells it like it is, and that's what I appreciate about her, because it's very much non-jealousy. It's also very much, if I get somewhere, and this is me speaking, like there's a couple of gigs that are coming up for me that I'm like, who do I want to work with? My mom. Not just because she's my mom, not just because I feel obligated, because there are some mother-daughter duos that feel an obligation to do it. I said no. Who's going to be the best person to elevate this show with me? Hassan. And like, I've shared details, and there's not a, oh, Hassan is going to sound better than me, or oh, Najee's going to sound better than me. No, absolutely not. It's a, what duet can we do together? Or what number
Yeah,
can we do together? It's always a constant building each other up. And I've never, and I can thoroughly say this, hand to God, where's my heart? Oh, right here. I checked it last time. My last breakup tore my heart out, but I got it back it's from Costco, aisle 7. Um, but truly, I've never ever felt any jealousy from Hassan to myself, and I can say thoroughly for myself, I've never felt jealous. I've always gone to support my mother because I love when I get to see her perform. Even when I'm in plain clothes and I'm wearing a hoodie and people are like, "Who is that carrying your bag?" I'm carrying my mama's bag because I have the privilege to carry my mama's bag, and vice versa. When I did not a competition, I did a Diva Sing live at Albatross, and I got my makeup done at Hassan's house, which is a ritual that we have normally. We come.
Aww.
She literally, we walked out. She was in plain clothes. She was like, "Give me your bag." I'm like, "Mom, no." She's like, "No, no, give me your bag. You're performing. Let me carry your bag. Let me put it where you want it. I will check your hair. I will check your face. She's like, your mug is mugging. She looks soft." I'm like, see, but there's no like, my mom is requiring me to bow down to her. It's a very mutual friendship first and foremost, a mutual family because we're family at this point. But also, I want my daughter and I want my mom to have the best performance and best look possible.
Absolutely. That makes perfect sense. And like seeing you guys together, seeing you guys both sing live, you would think that like you're in a recording studio and you're putting on the vinyl and you're just listening. And that kind of segues to my next question. You sing live, Hassan sings live. You guys sing awesomely live. What is your favorite song to sing live? And like what is kind of the criteria that you kind of pick from to I want to do this song today, I want to do this song tomorrow, or do you kind of like feel the room out, like feel the vibes?
Um, my favorite song to sing live is okay. It depends on if I'm happy or if I'm sad. If I'm happy, I'll sing "Ordinary People." I love "Ordinary People" by John Legend because I feel like it makes everyone understand that we're just all like floating along this river together, and it's okay to not know where to go, but we're just all like in this together. When I'm sad, it's "She Used to Be Mine" from Waitress. That song I discovered when I had a really, really bad breakup. And I listened to it and I saw the show and I bawled my eyes out. So I love singing that song live. And how I pick my songs, it's kind of fly by night. It's kind of like I have a Rolodex of music that I normally sing. And when I come into a performance, I'll be like, okay, well, this song feels right in the moment. Or Hassan will be like, can you sing this one? The audience will love this one. Like we're backstage, and if you come backstage with us at some point, which you because everyone has,
Yes.
you'll see us go, what song should I sing right now? We'll ask each other like, what song should I sing? And I'll
Yeah.
go, oh, sing that one. And then she'll go, oh yeah, sing that one. So yeah, it's kind of like a seat of the pants moment.
Understandable. Because I've seen you sing Sweet
Yeah.
Transvestite both on your Instagram and live. And I kid you not, and like I've never seen what is the musical called?
Rocky Horror.
Rocky Horror Picture Store. I've only seen like the Glee version, which isn't seeing the actual thing, of course. When you saying that, I was like, I'm gooped and gagged. I'm scalped.
Yep.
I am bald. What is going on here? Did
Oh,
I walk onto Broadway? Am I backstage? Like, I was shook, and I've never heard that song live, so I've never seen someone just eat just eat. Like, I kid you not, like I was like sitting there like in awe. And I'm not even like I kid you not like if there's footage from the bar, just roll the footage. I'm sitting there like just gawking. And I mean this in the most like not even in a bad way, just like shook. Like
yeah.
I was like, oh my God, speechless. I kid you, and I mean that in the most sensitive way that like a person that doesn't know drag and seeing the effort and the time and the energy and the confidence that just drag queens exude when they're performing and just in general, I'm like, I wish I had that. Like I wish like how did
Why
they get
not?
to be these people?
Well, we are. I think, like I said, it's a mask, but also it's who is the most divine you, in my opinion. I mean, when I get in drag, the first drag queen that I knew were relatives of mine. Like they're women that come to church in these their their wigs done, the hats huge. Like both of my parents are pastors. I have seen fashion down. And I'm like, how y'all want my family, but how can the church like gay people when you got a bunch of drag queens like walking down the aisle? Like this so
Yeah.
confusing confusing. Like, so my drag persona, though the outward look is this dainty, I always say I want a cupcake. Like, she looks dainty. My mom is my fashion icon. She looks awesome all the time. But when I open my mouth, I am literally like Trina or Cupcake. I am a dirty bird. So it's like, who do I want to be? Who could I mash together to be the most divine self for me in drag? That is my mother, who all the Black community listening right now, I still don't know my mother's first name. Her first name is Mommy and her last name is May I. I, I am scared that if I say her first name, she'll pop up like Beetlejuice and take me out. Um, but yeah, my mom is a pastor, and she's also the one that taught me how to take care of my mental health. Because a lot of not to segue or digress out of this, but a lot of because I still consider myself a Christian because I love God, but a lot of people think that mental health is just prayed away, and I've known too many people that have lost their lives to that. I know, including myself, almost. I mean, I know too many people that have neglected their mental health. My mom said, "Listen, when I had you and your siblings, I was depressed. So I took medication because none of y'all would be here if I didn't take medication. Y'all depressed, y'all stress me out."
Absolutely.
So
And it's funny that you brought that up because that's actually one of my questions. So I'm glad that you like kind of built up the steam, to add that on. But one final question for this section at least. We kind of are privileged and lucky enough to live in states where like being queer is kind of like I don't say celebrated, but kind of more like a commonality. So like, I'm from New Jersey. We just had Asbury Pride, I think last weekend. And then you're located in New York where like being queer in New York is kind of like pretty common, I think,
yeah,
at least to me. But we kind of see what's going on in the Midwest with like the drag bans that are going on and like states like Kentucky, West Virginia, Minnesota, and like, them banning drag queens, even reading the children, kind of like, what are your I guess like what is your consensus on that? And like kind of like, when you heard that was happening, like what was your immediate reaction and kind of how did you feel about that?
let me close my window really quick because they're doing construction outside.
Oh, but yeah.
And I'm back. Okay, so I think it's a little. I think the bans are bullshit. Honestly, excuse my French. Sorry, that was German. I think I think it's trash. I think if you really look at the statistics, because most of us are logical people. If you
Yes.
really look at the stats, how many drag queens have been found in bathrooms with kids? How many drag queens have molested kids? How many drag queens have attacked kids? How many drag queens have attacked people in general? Like, it's really concerning that um, people think that way, especially in 2024. I mean, in all reality, I think it's gross that drag queens are being banned from doing. I mean, I just watched We're Here, and certain places in Oklahoma, you're banning drag queens from doing public performances because their fake titties fell on the floor. You're banning drag. I mean, you have kids don't know prejudice. Kids are not born racist. Kids are not born. They're honestly the best course of action to say I don't see color because kids don't. They see love. They see friendship. I think banning drag is just a vehicle to ban being gay. I mean, that's the whole concept. When in all reality, you got senators and people going to rest stops, uh, tapping their feet under tables. Like, they're the people. The Catholic Church. You got priests. I was just watching a documentary. A priest, like 80 something children. I'm like, are you really? Are we focusing on one of the oldest art forms? Because if you're going to ban drag, then you need to ban Shakespeare, because that's how Shakespeare started. Being an actor, I mean, it's like Shakespeare didn't allow women to do shows back in the day. So you had men dressing up as women. What is that? That's drag. That's cross dressing. And they
See,
said, oh, it's just for fun, just for the art. Most drag queens, I mean, you have trans people that do drag, you have straight people that do drag, which is a whole other thing for me. You have you have some people that drag, and most drag queens are not or don't identify, or I cannot say most. I myself as a drag queen do not identify as a trans person. I am a pansexual goddess, and I love being that. But I do drag as an art form. So what's the difference between me doing drag and then me turning around and doing Shakespeare. In my opinion, it's the
True.
same art form. So if you're going to ban drag and you're going to ban like literature, which is the start of, I believe it's all of Ayn Rand's books. Like you have people burning books. You have people, the Giver was that concept. Atlas Shrugged was that concept. I mean, it's the same thing. Well, Atlas Shrugged was a concept of basically everyone had to get the same amount of thing was communism. I love that book. Um, but I think it's stupid. I think it's gross. I think it's harmful. I think it's trying to take away from what the real problem is. It's a smokescreen.
Absolutely. It's like, 'cause I just had a one more question. And then we're gonna take it to another topic. Okay, so my one final question is, we've seen a lot of like drag artists can, be able to pivot from doing drag work, someone like Jinx Monsoon who kind of started on RuPaul's Drag Race, won their season, both regular and all stars,
Mhm.
now doing Broadway and off Broadway productions. Could you see yourself being someone that wants to use their drag as kind of like a pivotal, like not a pivoting point, but like as like a pushing off point to be like, okay, well, I do drag, so I can sing really well, and I can act. I have my musical theater background of like bouncing it off and doing and playing roles such as like Lola from Kinky Boots, where like they're kind of like a semi drag persona, but not completely. Can you see yourself doing something like that?
Yeah, Lola's on my bucket list. Lola is
Oh,
on like literally
period, period.
I once I put it in the universe and I'm putting it again with one other person listening to me. I'm going to play Lola within the next like year and a half. I'm manifesting that. So yes, I think for me, though I call my I yes, I don't see myself doing it as there are certain roles that I have to be for. Like I would do Frankenfurter, which Frankenfurter is more of a crossdresser than a drag persona.
Of
I would
course.
do Lisa from Kinky Boots. There are certain roles that have to make sense to me to use my drag as the vehicle for that. But 100% Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, I would do that as well. Lacage, I would do that as well. Um, yeah, so the answer is yes. I would definitely like in certain situations, I absolutely would. But Lola, I need that. That's
We're
now I'm
gonna
gone.
we're gonna manifest that. We're gonna put that into the universe that you will play Lola in Kinky Boots year and a half at max 2 years. I believe in it. I know Slam probably believes in it, and anybody that's producing live believes in it if you ask them. Just my opinion. But you mentioned something a little bit earlier about like, mental health and the black and well, you're Jamaican and the Jamaican community kind of like, the stuff of that nature. So my question to you is like, you do musical theater and you do drag. So like how do you protect the self and like how do you protect like your mental because sometimes chasing your dreams and chasing an art form can be very taxing,
Yeah,
as queer individuals our life is kind of like not like a struggle but it's like if you're a person of color, let's just say that you're gonna struggle as being a queer person. It's kind of just written in stone and it's,
yeah.
it's sad but it is written in stone, so like how do you protect yourself and protect your mental when it comes to diving into many different art forms?
That's a really good question. Thank you for asking. Uh, I uh, I like to differentiate myself from the role, especially when it comes to musical theater. A lot of people think that musical theater is like just singing, dancing, blah blah blah. It depends on the role. I mean, I tend to like to give my characters a very strong backstory so that I can find things that we have different. So if a role a character is a vegan, I at the end of a show will get the greasiest burger that I can get to kind of
Yeah,
shake that person off of me. But when I'm doing drag, because it's constantly up, 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 and then we have to nightlife wise, we have to we stick around and we give ourselves so much. I go and I see other people's stuff. I go and I support my other friends because I find that if I'm constantly putting out, my love tank gets depleted, and after a while, where can I draw from? If I don't go and receive love from other people, that's partially why one of the reasons why I go and I see a lot of Hassan shows because I'm like, that's where I know I'm gonna get love so that my love tank can be refilled so that then I can love on the audience that is coming in. Because you can't tap from a well that's dry. And that's where the mental health starts eroding. I've done it many times where I've been like, you know what, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna go to work, I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna go to work. And then I'm like, I'm watching TV and I'm like, that's really taking away from my brain space. And then I go to a show and I'm upset. And I'm like, I didn't even do anything. Like I just came from my house. but then I leave work and I'm super tired. But it's like not sacrificing, but figuring out that line between resting, working, and playing is very important. I mean, sometimes even saying no to things. Like I've had to say no to gigs where I'm like, that's not going to serve me right now in my mental health capacity. I've had to say no to people that I've known for so long that I'm like, you like if someone shows you who they are, if someone like operates in a certain way, just take note. So like when people look at me and they're like, "Oh, you're a live singer," that means that I can do less. That's a red flag for me. Like I did a show where someone had not been feeling like not like vocally or mentally, but they were just had an attitude. And they were like, okay. And I was like, my voice is a little wonky. I don't really want to sing that much. I sang the first song. Like, okay, sing another one. I was like, oh, okay, work. 5 songs down, they still hadn't gotten up. And I was like, oh, noted. Word. So I say like protecting your gift is very important. Figuring out what you love to do outside of your art form is very important too. Whether you like to go to amusement parks, whether you like to masturbate, whether you like to eat chips, like whatever you need to do. That's sorry, that was a little vulgar, but it's whatever you need to do that relaxes you and fills up your like your space in your life.
Absolutely. And that's very true for any art form. It's kind of like finding that life work balance, playtime, trying to be like, okay, well, today I did this, I'm gonna do this tomorrow, let's on the weekend, let's work days at work, let's go have a good time. And that's a
Yeah.
really good balance. And kind of set not really segues to what I'm gonna ask, but I'm gonna ask it anyways, you're from the church and you're also gay.
Hmm.
And I don't want to talk about the elephant in the room, but it's not an elephant in the room, but it's a lot of times um church communities don't accept gay people, and
Yeah.
it's wild, at least to me, because I'm not, my parents aren't religious, I'm not necessarily religious, but I've seen religion and I've been around it and I've never pushed upon me, but I've seen how like a church will protect a rapist or
Hmm.
a sex offender and not protect a gay child that just wants to feel loved. So kind of what is your balance with that, dance with that, because like you said, like you're a practicing Christian that still loves God and you're gay. And there isn't really any changes with that being a thing. It's kind of just like this is what I do and it is what it is. So like kind of like how did you find your own emotional balance with that?
It took a long time. Talking to my parents, who I'm very fortunate. I have 2 parents that love me and still talk to me. And when I came out to my mom, I cried, 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 I cried. And she just looked at me and she was like, "Are you done?" I was like, "Huh?" She was like, "Listen, I love you." She's like, I may not agree, but I love you. And who would I be? She's like, "Where you going?" She's like, where?" She's like, "You have friends, but I'm your mother. I would much rather you talk to me every single day than talk to a friend who I know loves you, but I love you." She's like, "Plus, I changed your diapers. You gonna change mine?" I'm like,
Period.
yo, but I've experienced some backlash, especially when I first started doing theater. People in the church don't understand. Some people know refuse to understand because I know that the people that I know behind closed doors are watching the R-rated movies, are watching all this stuff, are cursing. I know for a fact. I mean, we've all fallen short. My thing is that my mother has defended me tooth and nail. There's been people that have come into her DMs, and my mom said, my mom messaged me once. She was like, "Listen, I had to be very quick to tell someone I'm a pastor, but I haven't always been a Christian." She said, "Listen, get out of my DMs. Stop talking about my child. Leave my child alone. My child loves God, and God loves my child." So
Period.
I also to work with queer kids and just let them know that there is whatever God you believe in preaches love and acceptance and forgiveness. And there are queer kids out there that are so hungry for a relationship. Like I'm not religious, I have a relationship. So my thing is like my relationship is my own. It's my own way of navigating through this really, really messed up world. But it's really sad, like you said, that there are people that will defend pedophiles and rapists, but they will not defend lovely queer kids who are just so confused and so alone, and you would much rather tell them that they're going to hell for someone that they love, but you're on your third wife. I'm confused.
Spill it, pocket.
Sister stole the pasta from the pastor's wife, but she's still you're taking money from the offering basket, but the queer kid that is crying and seeking out your assistance and is a great singer and could bring people into God's love, you're telling them that they're going to hell because of who they love. Okay, that makes sense. That's logical. But I'm like, I've studied the Bible, and I'm just like, the Bible says it, even like the problem is with man translated things is that the Bible has been passed down and translated so many times. But if you look at it like an English text, because the King James Version is an English written text, there are in the English language, there are words that are repeated that are the most important. Like in any work, if someone says, listen, 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 that is the most important word. In the Bible, love and forgiveness are the two most repeated words in the entire Bible. And the fact that people are refusing to believe that just tells you that there are less Christians out there. There's just a lot of agenda driven people that like money. And I digress. That's the last thing I want to say.
Listen. We both on social media and we see what happens and we see the stories and we will leave it at that because you do bring up a very valid point and how like religion is basically about finding your own faith within religion. Because I know even for myself, like a lot of times, like I've never practiced the Bible. My parents have never pushed religion onto me, but religion has kind of just been something that like I know about. I'm a very like worldly person. I've had friends that study religion, whatever. But it's very people have been like, oh, like you don't go to church and you don't da 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 this and that, and I'm like, just because you go to church every Sunday, you go to choir practice, you read the Bible every night, that isn't my journey, and it doesn't make my journey any less valid than your journey.
Agreed.
Because if I don't feel like I need to do all that all the time, then hey, like that's my journey. But then if you feel like you have to do that,
that's
hey,
your journey.
that's your journey. But at the end of the day, God knows my heart, and God knows that I have good intentions. 80%, 100% of the time, it's a good intention. It might be a poor execute.
Right. Exactly. But also, like, if I always tell people this, and my mom might disagree with this, but I'm talking to you. I always say, if Jesus was here right now, Jesus would be in the clubs. He wouldn't be participating, but some of Jesus' best friends would be the gay guys, would be, because we have some of the best hearts out there. We have some of the best, like, if you really think about it, our chosen family is what Jesus did. He brought in his disciples. Those are his chosen family. He broke bread with them. He taught them right. If you really think about it, in my opinion, the closest things to like what Jesus was doing are folk houses. You bring in the disenfranchised, you bring in the poor, you bring in the hungry, you bring in the needy, and y'all pull your resources together and you create love. That's what Jesus was doing. Jesus wasn't held up in these big old churches. He wasn't. He was in a small room with a group of people that sometimes disagreed with him, but he knew loved him. So that's why I love Vogue houses. I love that because you're literally looking at people who may not look like you, who may not like think the same as you, but have a passion and a love for something. That's the beauty, in my opinion, about being queer. Chosen family is such a beautiful thing because we may have been kicked out from our families. We may have been told that we're nothing, but there was someone that looked at us and said, "You're worth it. Come here. Let me give you a hot meal. Let me tell you about yourself real quick. Let me give you an opportunity to show what you're good at." That's what Jesus did. Jesus didn't tell people they're going to hell. He actually flipped over tables in the church because they were taking too much money from people.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Clock
not
it,
that.
clock it. But on a much more fun, and lighter note, we're both queer individuals. You're so that's I would say a very accomplished queer individual compared to me, and
Oh
in
no.
life. So and you teach young queer children musical theater and singing, correct?
Sorry.
No,
Yes.
you're fine. Awesome. Okay, so my question to you is, what is some advice you give to like queer children or like even your younger self as like, when it comes to chasing your dreams, it's just trying to like be successful and like just be themselves because it is hard to be a queer individual, it's hard to be a person of color, it's hard to be many things in life, and what advice would you give to that person that's like, hey, I don't know what to do, can I talk to you?
The answer is yes. I'm always available to have a conversation. I don't really sleep, so that's always good. But I always tell people, find what makes your heart sing. Find what makes your ears perk up. What music genre? What dance genre? What, and then find a place that has beginner classes and will help you with that. But also be okay with looking silly, whatever that means. Be okay with making mistakes. There's a quote that I love from the movie Meet the Robinsons. It's, we learn from failure, success not so much. So in all reality, I teach my kids, especially when it comes to dance, that there's so many kids that are perfectionists, which that beast is a multi-headed hydra. Um, but it's very much, if you mess up in your head, who knows? Like if you're doing the choreography, who knows? Besides your choreographer, yes, I know, but I'm not gonna jump up on stage and scream at you. No. I've had kids fall out of turns and like really beat themselves up about it. And I've put it into the choreography because it looks better
Period. Yeah.
or work. Or if you can't do three turns and you can do two solid ones and you fall out of a third one, how can we keep the momentum going to make it look like that was on purpose? How can you trick the brain and trick yourself into believing that my mistake can make something better? It's like I had to learn. I had so many teachers tell me that I was not going to amount to anything, that I wasn't good enough, that my voice wasn't good enough, that my dancing wasn't good enough, that my acting wasn't good enough. And I believed them for a long time until I found someone who looked at me and said, well, what do they know? Are they in your throat? I was like, not yet. No.
Oh my God, you're hilarious. Oh my God, love this.
No, they said, what do they know? Are they in the room with you? Are they rehearsing? Are they in those multiple hours of you toiling in your room, crying, rehearsing, doing this? Are they? No, they're not. So they should have a kernel of an opinion in your life. And that's when I had that breakthrough. My vocal teacher, well, I still call her my vocal teacher. She moved to Texas. Her name is Darla Diltz. She was my voice teacher in college. And I got to her after a really, really stressful moment, and I cried, cried, cried. And she kind of said the same thing as my mom did. Are you done? Because this lesson, we have a certain amount for this lesson. But I graduated from college many, many years ago. And we're still in contact. She's still one of my closest people because she was the person who looked at me and the advice that I give my kids. She looked at me and she said, listen, just sing what makes your heart happy. We can correct the notes that aren't there. We can correct those things, but if you have passion, I would much rather work with a person that has passion than a person that has a quote unquote perfect voice. Because perfect voices can be boring. Passion
Very
is something,
boring.
it's something that, it's like, I always say to people, it's like lighting a stove, but the pilot light is off. It ain't gonna last forever. But if you have that pilot light, I can teach you how to cook. I can teach you with ingredient by ingredient. Then something will happen. Something beautiful will happen. Yeah.
Absolutely. And wow, you're an amazing person. I don't know if you know that, but I in the queer community, oftentimes we don't get the chance to give each other our flowers until they're dead or until like something tragic happens. So I wanted to use this platform to give not only you your flowers, but also give Hassan their flowers. Because you guys have such a beautiful energy and such like a light in the community. And as a queer person that kind of like struggles with like self-confidence, self-worth, um seeing you guys be your authentic selves and seeing you guys have so much passion and have so much love for just everyone in the room, it's so inspiring. And you guys are truly like, and I'm not saying this because I got to interview you guys, but like hearing your stories and just meeting you guys in person, and you guys are amazing people. And I just hope that the world can see that, and I hope that everyone can hear your voices, not just on social media, but live in person, and just like know that like drags and art and queer people, we're here and we're not going anywhere. And we will continue to be here till the end of time, no matter what happens. And you guys are pushing that needle forward each and every time that you guys perform, you guys speak out and do something. So thank you for that. And this is me giving you your flowers.
No, thank you. This platform is so important. What you're doing is so important because it's not easy. It's not easy to put yourself out there. It's not easy to come up with these. You are on point. Like these questions are some of the best questions that I've heard. Like I really give you your props because it's also being able to talk about this. I haven't been able to talk about this with another queer Black person in a long time because a lot of the times we're pinned against each other.
Yeah.
Told that we're all vying for the same thing, and that I don't subscribe to that. So I'm very thankful for you asking me to do this and for you having this platform because it is very important and it's very life changing. And it's reminded me of why I do love this art and why I do. You made me think.
Aw.
You made me think about why this is so important and why I have to keep doing it. So thank you. You deserve your flowers too.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. But to end the podcast on a very highlighted and fun note, do you have any upcoming gigs and projects coming up, or any like little secret droplets that you want to spill with me?
Oh, yes. I have a brunch at Arcadia Bar, June 22nd. That's a Saturday, at 1 p.m. It's gonna be our
Period.
drag um pride brunch. It's gonna be myself and a couple other performers. I'm gonna drop those in a couple of days. I have a couple parties that I'm organizing. I think I'm going to start organizing a queer pansexual party in Wash Heights. Um, and I come to karaoke and drag on Fridays at Albatross, and I might be working on music. So
Oh, are you following in
yeah,
your mother's footsteps? Is that what you're telling me?
I
You're following in
I
your mother's
started
footsteps?
music before she did.
Oh,
So no, I'm
excuse
joking.
me,
I'm joking.
my,
I'm joking.
my bad. Excuse me.
I'm joking. I'm joking. No. I it's a I've been working on it for a while, and I'm also releasing a musical. I wrote a musical 2 years ago, so I'm actually gonna mount that probably in July.
I'm gonna yes, please. I would love to see it. I wanna get tickets. I wanna come. I will support any queer
Hey,
art that I see. I wanna be there, so just let me know. And then
I will.
also, where can the kids find you? Because you're an amazing person, and your talent and your voice and your story needs to be heard. So where can the kids, the queers, the they thems of the world can find you?
So I'm on social media. My Instagram, my boy Instagram, as you can see right now, is that THAT person Najee Najee. If you want to follow my drag account, it is Baby Hairs, BabyHairsNYC.
Period. Okay, so on that note, thank you so much for being on King Stuff's podcast.
Ooh.
All the viewers out there, please make sure to go to app. Please make sure to subscribe. Link in the
Yeah.
bio. Please make sure to go to Albatross on Friday nights at after the drag show viewing. I think it's at 10 p.m.
Yes.
10 p.m. karaoke to see Hassan and Baby Hairs, and maybe sooner or later we're gonna hear them sing a song together. That's what I
Ah,
want to see. That's what
okay.
I'm here to see. But yes. So after all that, bye guys. Have a good one, and thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you.
And
Bye.
bye.